I remember when we made more than $10 million the first time, I had a problem with a retinal detachment and I was stuck in a chair for 3 months. And I was like, do I want to retire? Like I could retire now and I'd be comfortable. Do I want to do this anymore? And if good can be the enemy of great and money can test you, because if you make a lot of money, all of a sudden, if you're just doing it for the money, you're going to stop and you're going to be like, this is too much. I don't want to deal with it. But if you have a purpose bigger than money, if you're trying to serve people and you're trying to help people and you're trying to give back, that's the fuel you need to grow for the rest of your life. And hopefully you're going to keep doing more and more, helping more people, giving back more and more. And that becomes the fuel. A guy, I think once they turned 50, we were always thinking about our legacies, and money's not enough. It just isn't. I'm going to give my kids $100 million. That's not enough. What do they deserve the money? So it's just not enough. Chasing the money isn't enough to keep you motivated and make the hard calls you got to make to keep doing this day in, day out, long term. So the question becomes, how do I transform myself? Let's say you're the guy chasing the dollar like I was. And I hope you don't end up sleeping on a couch like I did, because I don't want you to have to go through there. So the first thing you need to do is say, you know what, it's not about the money. And you need to then recondition yourself to know that it's not about the money. You've got to start working on the mental game right here. I read the book Think and Grow Rich more than 100 times. I've read the Bible dozens and dozens of times, and I've read passages of the Bible hundreds of times. You have to begin to reprogram yourself, and it will take time. But the truth is that after 10 or 15 years, you look back and the time goes by like that. When you're growing yourself like this, it's the most valuable time that you can spend, and time stops. You don't even realize it. So I look up 10 years later and I've got all the trappings of success. But the truth is I don't even, like, the 10 years blurred together. So the good news is, once you get in this zone of the spiritual way of dealing with it, and the right way, and the faith-based way, and the strong foundation, like, time stops and you just grow in a beautiful way. I feel like this is how we're going to be in eternity with God. This is the feeling of being in heaven, where there is that, really, you're growing and you're learning, and it's not like it's a slog anymore. Now, I know I contradict some of the other things I said, where you get betrayed and hurt, and that will happen too. But as far as you working on yourself, you can transform yourself, but you've got to really recondition yourself, is what I'm trying to say. Is if you're after the money, and by the way, I wasn't just after the money, I was after the girls. I wanted the rock star lifestyle, right? I wanted it all. I wanted to be partying, all that. That's my idea when I was in high school, right? That's what I wanted to be, rich and famous and all that. And that, you've got to recondition that mindset. The people I hang out with most of my life now are pastors. I have a lot of pastors from a lot of churches. I hang out with people who are Christian. I don't have any friends who are into drugs. I don't even drink anymore. Now, if you're like, oh, Greg, stop. I'm not going to be able to give up my vodka. Listen, man, I used to drink a lot. I did. Over time, I want to be healthier. And my wife and I, maybe I'll have a cocktail once every 3 months or something, but I'm just not interested in that, because what I have now is so much better. I really do enjoy what I'm doing, and the work I do every day, and getting letters from clients who are like, man, you helped me in a time when my kids couldn't afford their school supplies, and we're able to help them out. So that's what I live for today, not the party lifestyle. And funny enough, like, I used to think it was a big deal to hang out with celebrities, and I like celebrities, but they're just people too. And many times they're people who have the same issues, if not worse issues than we've got. And so we idealize celebrities, business people, all this stuff. And when you get up to a certain level, you realize we're all just people. We're all the same. And we're all just trying to do good and raise our kids and have a good life and give back some. So it's important to make that the priority earlier, where you think about, what can I give back? What's my legacy going to be? And, how am I going to get there? And recondition your brain to be thinking like that, not the, what's the next party I'm going to go to, or who's the next person I'm going to meet, or what's the next deal I'm going to do even. You've got to be thinking about reconditioning yourself for that positive success story, because it does take some time. And all of us have negative beliefs that have been programmed to us over time. So we've got to undo those beliefs and reprogram them with positive beliefs, and make sure we surround ourselves with people who are helping and supporting and uplifting us for that reason too. When I was reconditioning myself, I did a couple of things. I can tell you the fastest way to do it is to read the Bible, because the Bible resonates. And even if you don't necessarily believe in the full Bible, right? I believed in the Bible, but I didn't really believe in it until I really read it and started applying it in my life. So let's start there. Basically, just read the Bible. The principles of the Bible are true, and they span thousands of years. And so if you want a place to start with the Bible, Think and Grow Rich was another great book that I read, but I'll tell you, everything in Think and Grow Rich is in the Bible, right? You read Psalms and Proverbs. Read the story of King David, was a great story. I like the Gospel of Matthew, and particularly when Jesus says, speak to the mountain. That's a very powerful thing, where you can speak to your problems, your obstacles. And if you have faith, you can reframe your entire world around you. That's what impacted me when I realized that the Bible is real. But even if you don't go that far, join me, just read the biblical principles. They really do help in business. You really stay focused on doing the right thing. That helps. And then get in with a group of people who are like-minded, people who want to do well and want to give back, and not necessarily people who want to just go out and party. If you're going out and partying, you probably need to stop that now. If you really want to be successful in business, you should start hanging out with people who are more responsible. I have some friends who are billionaires. They're not going out and partying. They're not. They're in bed at probably 9 o'clock at night. They're up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You may see them at a party, but the truth is they're not in the partying lifestyle. And most of the guys I know who are over 100 million in net worth are also very similar family men. They hang out with their friends and they're talking about trying to do more to help people and how to do a better product or how to improve themselves. They're not in the party lifestyle, which I think a lot of us have this idea from the Instagram thing. That's where it is. By the way, this is another little footnote. I probably shouldn't take on Instagram influencers. They may pan me, but I travel now to places where there are Instagram influencers constantly. I go to some of the best vacations in the world, and there's always 1 or 2 or 3 influencers there at the same time that I'm there. And so people will be looking at the influencers thinking this is an amazing venue. But when you're there, you see them, they're not having the fun that they look like they're having. They take a whole day to do a photo shoot in a restaurant, let's say, and they're doing different angles and different shots. I'm in Miami. There's tons of influencers here. When they kick off for a hotel, they have the influencers come. They're all standing in a pool looking like they're talking to people, but they're not. They're just taking pictures of themselves like that. I had a friend who I was on vacation with him in Athens. We're there, it was right after COVID. And we were walking through the Acropolis. One of my kids fell down, having an absolute meltdown. It's 98 degrees. We're sweating to death. And this influencer goes and sits over on a rock and is taking a picture of his red outfit and looking so cool. Literally 5 feet away, my kid is snotting and melting down and all this, but the picture was good. So that's what our culture is we want to look good, but the truth is life is sometimes your kid bleeding and having a snot fest on the Acropolis in 98-degree temperature in Athens. And so we have to be careful, what we look at, because looks can be deceiving for sure. I'm always happy to share my mistakes because hopefully that makes me real, but you guys are going to make some of the mistakes I made. And trying to avoid mistakes is a good idea, but you're going to have to make some of your own mistakes. And hopefully I can help speed that up a little bit. And reading the Bible, Think and Grow Rich is a really good book. Vern Harnish, Scaling Up, great book. And Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, I like the Scaling Up organization a lot. Those are all things, but start changing your mindset and reading about real business, learning how to do real business, because it's not easy and you have to learn the rules. And all of us have our shortcomings and we make mistakes until we overcome our shortcomings, and everyone's shortcomings are a little bit different. So I have a book that's coming out that is a specific testimony of miracles that I've seen literally the hand of God move in my life. I think that it's really important for people to realize that you may be in business and you're going to be great on your success, but the truth is that you're not going to be really successful unless you can tap into the true supernatural power of God in your life and in your business. Having all the things aligned in your life is important, but you're not going to be able to do that without having faith and having something bigger than you that you follow. So for me, I follow God, I follow Jesus, I'm Christian. I think it's important. And I didn't really get my life together until I really got serious about my faith. So I'm writing my book to talk about, I've counted at least 40, honest to goodness, hand of God, something happened, a physical manifestation happened in my life that I need to talk about, because I think it's important for people to realize that you can be super smart and you can be super good at your business. You can have a great business idea, but if you don't align that with the spiritual principles of this earth, I think you're going to not get as far as you wanted to get. And I did not get successful until I lined up with these spiritual principles. Again, I was sleeping on a couch, broke, with an indoor-outdoor table as my dining room table, until I aligned with the spiritual principles. And then it was absolutely like just a nuclear explosion. My life just took off because of that. And so I want to share some of these miracle stories that maybe help get people through their challenges, because every miracle story was a challenge that I had to confront, and something that was really scary or something that may have overwhelmed a young business person. And this is how I got through it and how God got me through it, through the tests of faith that we all have to go through.